Welcome to the Mile High Podcast. This is your host, Dr. Daniel Knowles, coming to you from an altitude of 5,280 feet. We are still coming off Mile High 2019 and looking forward to Mile High 2020. Thank you for being a listener through our podcast, and whether you watch this or listen to this, whether it's on iTunes or Stitcher or YouTube or Facebook, please hit the subscribe button. We never want you to miss an episode of Mile High Tick. I am so thrilled to have this week's guest on the podcast, not only because she's an awesome person, and not only because I love every opportunity to speak with her and known her for quite a while, but also because she is one of our speakers at Mile High 2020, Dr. Barbara Eaton. She's been helping chiropractors around the world for years and years. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Barbara.
Hey, Dr. Danny, thank you so much, and happy birthday, chiropractic.
Yes, happy birthday, chiropractic. We're recording this on chiropractic's birthday. How cool is that? I mean, there's very few people I would, rather celebrate chiropractic's birthday with than you. So super exciting. And Dr. Barbara, I'd like to have people get to know you through this podcast, get to know what you're about, get to know your vision and your heart relative to chiropractic and helping the world. So with that being said, can you share with people a little bit about how you found your way into chiropractic?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love the last part that you said there, help people around the world. So most people probably don't know this. My mom grew up on the mission field. My grandfather was a medical missionary in Pakistan. So my mom spent from 7 years old to 17 in Pakistan and India. They didn't have schools for the kids in Pakistan. So she and her siblings had to live in a boarding school in the Himalaya Mountains for her entire childhood. So she saw her parents about 3 months out of the year. And so this culture of loving other nationalities and opening your hearts and opening your home was just part of what I grew up with. Like, we always had, whether it was missionary kids or people who came to church for, singing groups or other pastors, they were always in our home. My parents went to a Bible conference in England when I was just, I think, junior high, and met a guy there from South Africa. He came and lived with us for 6 weeks and then brought his mom, his mother-in-law, his wife, and his daughter, and they all lived with us for a while. So that love for humanity has always been a part of my life. And then you add that on top of, I was raised as a farm kid in southeastern Michigan. So then I got the work ethic. So all of the right recipes, like one of my nicknames around the boot camp is Hallmark, because I had a Hallmark upbringing, and I'm so thankful to the Lord for that upbringing, because I know the majority of people on this planet haven't had that. So that set the course for having an awesome relationship with my parents. And I went to Michigan State University and had worked in a home for schizophrenic adults. And that just made me decide I no longer want to pursue a degree in law. My heart was to prosecute sexual crimes, to defend women who had been raped or had suffered in that way. And after working in that environment, it was really difficult for me to separate myself. I hadn't learned care, don't carry, never chase yet. So he and I had a very frank conversation, which I encourage all parents to have with your children. You might as well start with the truth, because you're always going to end with it. So speak to them as adults. And basically within 2 weeks, I was enrolled at Logan. So I went to Logan believing chiropractic could do everything. Like, that's what I grew up with. I grew up with chiropractic. Had been adjusted since I was 1.5 years old after suffering a concussion. And it was our go-to. And then I went to school and learned, you're supposed to refer out. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I don't really get that. So God works in mysterious ways, and that which we have to fight for typically makes us stronger. So there was a group of us that used to go to Cape Girardeau to Rob Kessinger's office. He was an upper cervical Kale doctor. And on Friday nights, that man would pour into us. He would teach us philosophy and check us and all of those things that really made us own chiropractic philosophy. So just an encouragement to every doctor, please invite students into your practice, teach them, love them. You may be their lifeline that keeps them connected to the principal, like really and truly. So please be encouraging when you see them at seminars, and when you see them on Facebook, encourage them instead of discourage them. They may be lost temporarily, but we could be that light that brings them back to the principal. And that's something that obviously I love about Mile High, just like all of us, is a commitment to the principal.
Yes.
So then, I graduated and was pregnant and had a toddler when I graduated. So I was a busy girl in chiro school, like a lot of mamas who end up in that same situation. And then a year later, opened my own practice in a very small town. And I just kind of did things differently, Danny. I decided that I was going to have to learn how to do successful business at some point. And I didn't want to be behind the 8 ball. I had 2 small children to feed. I had my student loan at the time. I was also married to a chiropractor who graduated after me. So I hired a coach 5 months before I ever opened my practice. And that led to opening in December of '98 in a tiny town. And by God's grace, I went 0 to 180 office visits a week in 89 days. The difference was I knew what I was doing. So I didn't stumble into success. It was all planned based on having learned how to do business before I opened. And the rest is kind of history. Had a very successful practice, lots of associates and team members. Eventually sold my practice to my associate. In that meantime, I did start coaching chiropractors at the request of my coach in 1999, and it's been an amazing ride ever since.
Wow, outstanding. And I want people to hear that 180 visits in 90 days, because I and you, and this is not a judgment, we're here to help people and serve people, know people that have practiced longer than you, longer than me, that are 10, 20, 30, 20 years and have never seen 100 people a week. And the idea of this podcast is to help people serve more and impact more lives and be inspired to do that. Especially, new grads, they really, we know you do, you just did this wonderful program at Sherman. We want to see people out, hit the ground running and impacting more lives right from the get-go, rather than wait 10 or 20 years to do that. So what were some keys for you? I hear it was planned. I hear that you had a mentor that you worked with prior, which is so brilliant and so wonderful, like more students to do that. But what were some of the things that in that, initial launch of the 90 days and probably the 90 days beforehand it were key?
Yeah, so it's just like anything else. It's your mindset, right? So your practice and your life will not outgrow your mindset. And your mindset isn't just like sitting and thinking, it's thinking and putting into action. So one thing that we talk about in the boot camp, I hit boot campers hard the very first week with, you got to be all in and take massive action. Like if you do average action, you're going to get less than average results. And that's the fact. I mean, look at how somebody approaches their care. If they dabble in chiropractic care, they're going to dabble in their results. They're just not going to get the maximum results that they could if they're not serious and make a solid commitment about their chiropractic care. So it's the same thing. I mean, it's in marriage. Marriage isn't 50-50. That's a failure. You both have to be all in, just like parenting. You got to be all in. Now, are there days that we're going to slip? Are you kidding? Yeah, every day is a slip and a check. But that's why you have to have guardrails established so that the slip doesn't go off the rails, right? Like that's why I have accountability groups. I'm in masterminds. I not only have one personal coach, I have 2 personal coach. One is a marketing strategist and one is a personal strategist. And listen, if you think you can't afford coaching, you can't afford not to. Back in December, I spent $25,000 one day immersion, one day with Garrett Gudnerson and Rich Christensen. Why? Because I'm the most important investment. I'm the most important asset in my business. And if I'm not functioning at my highest and seeing opportunities, then the business suffers. And so some of the most important things, you got to have mindset. And it's not something Like sometimes I'll hear docs say, I worked on my mindset. I'm like, oh, well, it's kind of ongoing, right? Because if you worked on your mindset 6 months ago and you're the same person, we got a problem, right? Like I better not be the same person today that I was a week ago or a month ago.
Barb, I worked on my fitness.
Right. Oh, I wish that happened. Right? Like, I was so fit when I was in my 20s and my 30s. I wish I didn't have to do it anymore. Exactly. I worked on my marriage. I said I do. That was good enough, right? So true. So the other thing is you have to recognize that the biggest challenges are the stories that we tell ourselves, right? Which of course is part of mindset. And one of the things that I see especially young docs do is they bought into this millennial idea of, I have to have enough time for myself. So let me just like tomahawk you on that one. Time for yourself is living your purpose. That is the best use of your time. So if you feel like you got to have chill time, we need to talk. Chill time is service time. Yes, we need to recharge our batteries for sure, but I promise you, you will be exhausted if you're doing life average. I often use the example of like here in Alaska, we have areas that are really cold, obviously. And when you put a diesel engine in a really cold area, it doesn't work. So it has to be plugged in or it has to be turned on. So in villages, they run on diesel power, so people don't have electricity except through a generator. So instead, my husband's in construction, so they leave all of their diesel vehicles on all winter long. So you could buy a diesel truck that let's say has 10,000 hours on it and only 1,000 miles. So that truck is on and it's running and running and running and running and running and running and running, but it's not producing anything. And a lot of people's minds are like that. They're running and 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 not producing because there isn't that full commitment. So when you're at home or away from the office, be obsessed with that. Be obsessed in your relationships. Be obsessed in your personal fitness. Be obsessed with your family. When you're in your practice, be obsessed serving your practice members. You will be able to do both effectively if you're obsessed and focused regardless of where you're at. So I think that's some of the biggest thing. And then the other thing is to focus on this. Be interested more than you're interesting. So instead of vomiting on other people, be curious about who they are. So in the boot camp, I teach a communication kind of like program. It's called Clarification Points of Agreement Solution. So you're going to clarify, who is this person? What are their challenges? What do they want? Then you get on the same page as them of like Danny says, well, Barb, I want to get out of pain. Great. How long do you want to live like that? Well, forever. Awesome. Do you want my help? Do you want my care instructions to reflect that? Like you just told me you want to be out of pain forever. Do you want me to help you do that forever? Right? Like it's pretty obvious. Then give a solution, right? Or like when you're in the community, resist the temptation to diagnose on the spot. Like instead I tell people, you know what? You look like the kind of person who wants the very best in life. Is that true? Side note, everyone says yes. Awesome. Right. I do my best work in my office. I can check you on Monday morning at 9 a.m. How does that sound? Now, for those of you who immediately just said in your mind, well, what if 9 a.m. isn't open? I don't know, figure it out. Like we can always figure out how to expand our capacity if our mindset says that. So we'll simply figure out how to fit them in. But the importance of that skill set is knowing, do I have a practice member? Or are they somebody who's just kicking tires? And if they are, that's okay. Remember, like, you're not going to convert everybody on that first conversation. So conversations lead to connection, connection to relationship, and relationship to commitment. So be willing to form the relationship first, because the truth is that your financial independence is based on your relationship capital plus your mental capital. And your mental capital is consistently applying what you've learned. Your relationship capital is your ability to identify with individuals and build a relationship with them that will benefit them and you now and in the future.
Outstanding. And it's so vital, that area of focusing on that you're the biggest investment for yourself, people forget that. And then they ask it of others. They want them to invest in their health care. And I always tell people that I work with and that I mentor that as much as you're asking practice members to invest in their health care, you need to invest at least that much, likely more, in your own health, right? And since we don't tend to spend money on medical resources as chiropractors, then that becomes our personal growth, or at least not even are we doing that for our fitness, our health, our nutrition, like things that make us, the valuable asset that we are, so we can run the race that we need to run. So yeah, such an important reminder. I cannot emphasize that more. Something that you say a lot about and is vital is talking about your tribe. Living, focusing on your tribe, loving them, supporting them. And how can people make their practice a tribe?
Yeah, so if it's okay, I'm going to start with the definition that we've come up with for our tribe.
Love it.
A group of people that becomes your family, the people that will be there for you no matter what, and who you are guaranteed to have a great time with. Although people may not understand how close you are, and your relationships with each other may seem perplexing to those on the outside, it doesn't matter, because you all love and accept each other. Once a tribe is established, they stay together forever. And that really and truly defines the boot camp and I. So here's the most important thing that you have to get clear about developing a tribe is you have to know yourself, right? Like the boot camp is about building badass female chiropractors who are instinctively successful, that no matter the situation they find themselves in, whether it's a group of 700 or it's a one-on-one, it's leading their team or having a blast on vacation. They're instinctively successful to maximize that opportunity, because life is all about opportunities. And it's true. You got to be in the right place at the right time, but you got to be prepared. So I believe that a lot of us have been in the right place at the right time and not prepared. And I refuse to stand next to my brothers and sisters in the boot camp and not help them be prepared to capitalize on every opportunity, because you don't know if that next one is going to be the thing that really blows up your life in a positive way. So building a tribe is knowing who you are and who do you best serve, like who do you resonate with. And so if you have skipped over steps of developing your avatar, please develop your avatar. If you're not sure what questions to ask yourself in order to develop that, if you shoot me an email and ask me for it, I'm happy to share it with you. It's about 6 or 7 page document that's really going to help you walk through how to develop your avatar. And your avatar is your ideal practice member. So I was just going over this yesterday with Dr. Stacy, and it's so important to develop that avatar, because then you want to speak the message to that avatar, right? So that you become this brightest light in your community for that individual person. So your whole messaging is driven towards them, right? So that you dominate your market. Now, my avatar is obviously women. 93% of the boot camp are women, whether they're students or $1 million practice owners, or they're just getting started, and anywhere in between. No years in practice to 40 years in practice. However, men have seen what we've developed and they've come in. So it doesn't mean I don't serve them. It just means my messaging is all to women. So it's really clear in the marketplace who I am and what I do. If in your town, your practice members or your community can't put their finger on who is Dr. Danny, what does Dr. Danny do, and who does Dr. Danny serve, it leads to confusion, right? You want to be the dominant one for this solution, and then everything goes towards that. Trust me, it'll be way more effective if you do that than if you're generic, because generic gets the lowest price. And if you want to be the cheapest, be generic. If you want to be paid the highest as well, when you're paid the highest, you better step up your game. And that always starts with your own personal care. Then you want to definitely be in that blue ocean. And if you need help understanding that, read the book, The Blue Ocean Strategy. It will really help you.
Oh, love it. Love it. And I'm so grateful to have you on the podcast. And I'm so thrilled that you're going to be on the Mile High stage. Hearing just this much here, it's going to be so great to have you live. Now, how do people get to connect with you from here? If they want to know more about Dr. Barbara and her tribe, how do they do that?
Yeah, great question. So here's the truth. I'm a big fan of going deep, not wide. So there are 405 members in the boot camp. Every single one of them has been on either a phone call or a video call with me. You cannot press enter or click and join. I don't have that option in the boot camp, and here's why. I want to make sure we're a good fit together. So every single relationship in the boot camp starts with you and I one-on-one, going deep. I've done over 700 in the past 2 years, since April 17th of 2017. So to say that I have an idea of what's going on in a profession, in the hearts and minds of especially women, is an understatement. I've talked to lots and lots of them, over 700 of them. So if something I've said today resonates with you, and you want to find out, like, number one, hey Barb, can you help me? And number two, do we like each other? I'm a hard hitter. I'm gonna be straight up with you. I'm a hard hitter. I drive hard. I expect a lot, and I expect you to expect a lot out of me as your coach as well. So the best place to start that relationship is the 56-day chirobootcamp.com/apply. 56-day chirobootcamp.com/apply. You'll answer some questions about your practice, and then you and I will jump on the phone together, or a video. My preference is video because then we can see each other. And I'm going to tell you straight up, I will tell you on our call, if I am confident, if I'm 100% confident I can help you, I'm going to pitch you. And that means a sale will happen. You'll either be sold on the opportunity to join the tribe and I and transform your practice and your life, or you'll be sold on the excuses and the lies that have you stuck where you are. A sale will for sure happen. So I'm not going to pull any punches. That's exactly what it's going to be like. It's not a sales call. It's a relationship call to make sure that we're going to be a fit, and that I'm confident I can help you with your challenge.
Beautiful, beautiful. And, when we look around the chiropractic world right now, how much do we need doctors, students, because they will be doctors soon, to serve more people?
Yeah, so here's a philosophy that I have bought hook, line, and sinker from Grant Cardone. If you can, you must. If you can, you must. That success is our duty, our responsibility, and our obligation. It's not an invitation, it's an obligation. We became chiropractors. We have a diligence that is on our shoulders and in our hearts to serve our community. If you're not sure if chiropractic has a place, look at some of the stats of people who are dying all around us, especially because they're dying from lifestyle related diseases. So what does that tell you? Subluxation in their head. I mean, first and foremost, it's subluxation in their head, right? And they need us to partner with them to take back their lives. Because of that, we have to take back our own lives. So even if you're, I know this podcast has lots of very successful chiropractors that listen to it. Here's my question for you. Are you living to your potential? If you can grab another gear, you must. We cannot just sit idly by and be average. It is against our philosophy. It is a contradiction then in our lives that spills over into our practice. There's nothing like being able to go into a report of findings confident that you're doing everything you can to live life to your best. Now, does that mean you'll be at your best every day? No, it means that you're constantly pursuing it, right? Because we know that it's a continuum. Like, it doesn't stop. We never get to a point where we can just go, I'm as healthy and wealthy as I'm ever going to be. No, because the second you stop that pursuit, you go in the opposite direction. So when we do everything that we can, right? If you can, you must. In a report of findings or in an extended consultation or on a visit-to-visit basis, you will have the conviction and the love to be able to meet that person where they are and give them a bigger vision than the one they're currently holding. And then to be there with them on that journey.
Wow. And, we tell people this all the time because there's no shortage of spines distorted in the world. There's plenty of people that need us and need us to step up. us playing small serves no one,
Yeah.
right? So I had a practice member. I'm so glad you said that about gear. Yesterday, I was in practice office going over results with someone. It was a spouse of somebody. And the person said to me, I came in, I'm so grateful I got checked. I'm so glad to see this on the tests and films and that you did this family evaluation. It gave me the opportunity to do this. He said, but I don't have any symptoms. Like, so why would I do this? And what would I get out of this? And I just, like what you just said, I said, well, you're running a 5-gear vehicle and you're on gear 2. There's gear 3, 4, and 5 that you have not accessed. So it's your choice to stay in gear 2 for the rest of your life, or do you want to see what it's like at gear 3, 4, and 5?
Absolutely. And in that conversation, docs, remember, care, don't carry. You
Right.
cannot care more about their health than they do, but we certainly can challenge them. So let's say in that conversation, the guy was like, you know what, actually, I'm doing pretty good. Just start like brainstorming with them. All right, what would third gear actually look like?
Right.
What's in your dreams that hasn't come forth yet? Do you want to explore that together?
Right.
And what if that next year gives you the promotion at work? What if that next year extends your life by 10 years? What if, right? Like, what if? And most people don't even consider that. So please be the catalyst for them to dream bigger.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for helping so many people dream bigger year after year, month after month, and serving people. And you and I both know we do all of this and all that we give because the most important people, the heroes in the chiropractic story, are the practice members and how much they need us. So thank you for doing that. I cannot wait to see you on the Mile High stage, and I'm sure we're going to see you between now and then somewhere. So actually, before we go, where's the next place someone can connect with you?
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I am doing 4 hours at Life for their homecoming. And then we have the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Boot Camp at Life University, October the 26th. This is a totally different experience than probably most women have ever had. From 8 to 5, we are taking a deep dive into life. One of the things that we have done is that every speaker has created her portion of the participant's workbook. And so what she's done is created questions that each participant can ask leading up to that speaker's presentation. So like Dr. Leslie Hewitt and I did a Facebook Live about this yesterday, and she's gonna take us all through ways in which we've potentially been violated or our boundaries have been obliterated in our lives. And so you're going to ask yourself questions, do homework even before you get to the boot camp. And then during the boot camp, you'll complete your notes from each speaker's presentation. And then I have required that she gives you the action steps to take from what you've learned. So it's highly interactive. It is definitely a boot camp and workshop, and one such that not only Monday is different in your life, but every day thereafter, because you will have the action steps for follow through. So that's October the 26th, the Women's Chiropractic Leadership Boot Camp. And then that evening, I'm doing a VIP mastermind with Mike Michalowicz that's open to men and women. He is a best-selling author, Wall Street Journal contributor, Inc. magazine contributor, just an unbelievable guy. He wrote the book Profit First, Clockwork, Surge, The Pumpkin Plan. And he and I are doing a VIP mastermind where there will be certain offices that are selected to be in hot seats. So this is an opportunity to have a multi-million-dollar entrepreneur take a look and evaluate your practice, which is an unbelievable experience. So you can get those. You can check that out at 56daychirobootcamp.com/summit.
Wow, outstanding. And, again, connect with Dr. Barbara. Every time I speak to her like this or see her live, I'm super thrilled. I loved, and super inspired. And I loved seeing you speak at Sherman this past year. Dr. Rochelle, loved the program that you put together for Sherman students. That was outstanding. So I know your people are going to love seeing you at Mile High. So again, if you're watching the podcast or listening to the podcast at whatever channel you are, hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. And we look forward to seeing you at Mile High August 20th to 23rd. 2020. It's all 20s. It's going to be the roaring 20s. www.milehighchiroregistration.com. You get all the details there. And we look forward to seeing you on higher ground. Dr. Barber, thank you so much for helping so many people over the years.
Thank you so much, and God bless you all.
And keep changing spines and lives and minds with chiropractic.